Hey, and welcome everyone. I'm B Muse with WizKids, and I'm here to share some exciting news with you all today. There is now a new way for DMs and players to get your hands on your favorite Dungeons & Dragons products by WizKids. Introducing Shop Dungeons & Dragons, powered by WizKids, an all-new online store offering a variety of D&D products, perfect for your tabletop accessory needs. To visit the store now, simply type dndmini.com into your browser. Place pre-orders for upcoming releases. Search for that much-wanted item to add to your current campaign. Even see what else is going on for all things D&D. Shop now, and orders over $50 get free shipping in the US. Minimum purchase of $9.99 required for all orders. For those of you outside the US, please keep an eye out for future announcements about shipping options in your area. But that isn't all, folks. For a limited time, orders of $100 or more will receive the exclusive Yeti Tyke promo, featuring 3 adorable pre-painted minis while supplies last. Get on over there today and check out all there is to offer, and don't miss out on your chance to receive the special promo of these fantastic miniatures just in time for the much anticipated release of the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign. Happy shopping!
Hello everyone! It is Tuesday. We are back after a very short hiatus, but we are here. Hello! I am Jessa Rose, as you know, and I am the host of Much Ado About Gaming, and I hope you enjoyed that little video about dndmini.com. It's going strong. We're really excited about it, so please go check it out. It's a great site. It's got lots of cool stuff going on. And now it's time for me to tell you some of the board game news. And we've got some exciting news this week, some stuff that I know people are waiting on with Clash of Cultures, but that's going to be a little bit later. I'm going to make you wait for that. But first up, Seastead is available now. Seastead has finally hit stores, as you may know. A couple of weeks ago, I brought the designers of Seastead here onto the show, and they talked about the game, they talked about the creative process, and now this awesome 2-player resource collection and building game is finally in stores. You can finally get it, and it's such a great game. It's such a beautiful, simple 2-player game. It's a kind of game that, like, it's so straightforward and so much fun, and there's tension, but because it's kind of co-opetitive, the tension is more subtle, and that's really cool, I think. But as you may know, this game takes place in the world of our 2019 hit game Flotilla, and this is kind of another game in the world of Flotilla. It's not mechanically similar to Flotilla, it's its own unique thing. It's kind of like I Cut, You Choose, but it's very, very cool. I highly recommend checking it out. It's also actually available for free as a mod for Tabletop Simulator, so if you're, on the fence, or if you've kind of moved to digital gaming, and of course, socially distancing, if you live alone, you can't have someone over to play board games with, this is a great option as well. It's, really simple, really straightforward, and the theming on it on the table on Tabletop Simulator is so cool, guys. I think it's awesome. It really, really feels like you're immersed in this water world. It's really, really cool. I really like it. So check that out. The game, if you want to buy a physical copy, is $29.99, and it is available now, so pick it up at your friendly local game store or online today. And now, what you all have been waiting for, Clash of Cultures! Oh, we're so excited about Clash of Cultures. Clash of Cultures is going to be great. We are so thrilled to be able to bring it to you. It is just such an awesome game. And recently we released new images of the components so you could see, what's going on with the game, the progress we've made. The images, which I'll show you in just a moment, will show you the massive quantity of components. There are so many. I counted. It was over 300. I counted this a couple weeks ago, and I should have written it down, and I didn't. But it's over 300 components. It's a huge game. It's got so much going on. It's so cool. Cool. My favorite word, guys. But they're beautiful. They're like, the components for this game are breathtaking. And we're really taking the time and care to ensure that the game gives players the most exciting, epic experience possible. Because this game is a hit. People love this game. We have such a great audience for this game. People who are so thrilled about it, and we're so thrilled about it. And we want to make sure that we bring you a game that is true to what people love about it, and true but enhanced, and make it new and make it great. And that's what we're really trying to do with this game. So the images that I'm going to show you some of them are actually already up on Board Game Geek, so you can head over there to check out a couple of them. The rest should be going up throughout the day. They're also available on the WizKids site, but I'm going to show them to you here first. The game will be releasing, as you can see down to my left, your right. The game will be releasing in spring 2021 at a price point of $149.99, and this was really to make sure that we could really invest in this game and make it what it deserves to be. And I think you're gonna love it. I think that you're gonna enjoy it a lot. So let's check out those images. You can really see how gorgeous these components are and how detailed everything is. We've got a lot of new art, we've got new graphic design, and just everything in such great detail, and we're so excited. I could not tell you how thrilled we are to be able to bring this game to life. But as I said, you can check these images out on our website, WizKids.com. Just head over there, head to Boxed Strategy Games, and then scroll down to Clash of Cultures and click. Or you can check them out on Board Game Geek. Head over there. The first couple images should be up there now, and they should be approving more throughout the day, so you'll be seeing them up soon. And yeah, please check out those images, and I'm sure you're really going to love it. We're going to definitely do an episode about Clash of Cultures, so you can see it. And, once I get a copy of this huge, overwhelming box, you're going to see it. It's going to be great. So check that out. And now it's time for a new segment. I'm going to have music for that soon, I promise. But we're adding an all-new segment this week. And that segment is What's Jessa Playing?, where I show you all of the games I've been playing this week, games that I think deserve more attention, because I really like hidden gem games. I like games that are weird. I like games that maybe people aren't normally as into, and I just realized I forgot to turn on the music for the show. So I apologize, guys. That music was supposed to be playing the whole time, and it was not. Anyway, I really like hidden gem games. I like games that are kind of more underground, or games that, you may have missed, and I'm here to show those off to you. So this week, of course, is Halloween. It's also my birthday week, so I'm really excited. I always get into the spirit of Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love it so much. And this week, I am celebrating with one of my favorite games ever, and anybody who met me when this game came out can tell you I was so excited about this game. I would not be quiet about it. I would talk about it to everyone I met, and that game is Hako Onna. Now, what is Hako Onna? Hako Onna is a Japanese horror game. It is a spooky game of supernatural hide-and-seek, and it is a great choice for the Halloween season. In the game, one player is the Hako Onna, or the woman in the box, while up to 4 other players are visitors who are trapped in her mansion and are trying to escape. And the way they escape is by searching for items and information in order to banish the ghost, or destroy her, bring her spirit to peace, or just get out of the mansion. So you have a couple options for ways you can win in this game, which is really cool. But you have to be careful as you're searching for this information, because the way you search for information is you've seen the little tiles on the board, you can see it right there. You flip those tiles up and you look at the bottom of them. That's a great shot of the tiles. But the Hako Onna secretly makes her way through the mansion during the game and could be underneath any one of those tiles. And if you accidentally stumble upon her, you're dead. Now, what's really cool about this, and no one likes getting knocked out in a game. Nobody likes having to sit out. They die in a game, they lose, they sit out. No one likes that. That's not fun. So what's really cool about this is because of the way the game is designed, if you stumble upon the Hako Onna and you die, you actually aren't out of the game. What actually happens is you become a Hakobito, and you join the Hako Onna's team. So instead of trying to get out of the mansion now, you're trying to kill the other players. So it's a great way to get around. And those are the Hakobito tokens right there. You can see them. That's what you become. And it's a great way to kind of get around being knocked out of the game and still make it fun and challenging. And you would move on the Hako Onna's turn with her, so you would make your movements around the mansion during her turn. And it's all secret, it's all hidden movement, it's really cool. It does also have an optional dexterity element, and I will point that out when that picture gets back to us, since the pictures are cycling. But I highly recommend playing the dexterity element if you can, if you live with your family and you have a group right there that you can play together with. It really does enhance the tension. I understand dexterity is not for everyone. I have shaky hands, I'm just stubborn. But not everybody can deal with dexterity elements, and that's fine. We did make a version of it, an optional version of it inside the game that you can use that does not involve dexterity, but the way the dexterity works is it features stackable discs called noise discs. And at the beginning of each player's turn, they add a noise disc to the stack, and if the stack ever falls, the Hako Onna immediately gets to take her turn. So these are the noise discs right here. You can see the little pearl on the red one. So you have to stack on top of the pearls, which means that the stack is never stable. Because if it was just, flat discs, you would just stack it right up and it would be done. It would be easy. You'd be all set with it. But because the pearls make it uneven, it really creates a challenging dexterity element. The non-dexterity element is numbered tiles, and you flip those, and if you get the wrong one, the Hako Onna takes her turn, so it is a little more randomized. It's less skill-based, but it's still a great way to play the game. It's still tense because the randomization does add to the tension, because you're like, oh my god, is this tile gonna be the one? So that's really cool. But I really, really love Hako Onna. I highly recommend it. If you want to check out a really cool video about the game, actually, there is a YouTube channel called Inside the Box, and they created a video for this game, and I highly recommend checking that out. It's fun, it's funny, and it's a great way to show off the game and the spookiness of it. Great for Halloween, great for any time of year. I love horror all year round. I'm sure some of you do as well. So definitely check that out. Hako Onna. It is available at your friendly local game store and online now, and if your friendly local game store does not have it, ask them to order it. It is a fantastic game. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend. So next up for our show today is my interview with the designer of Bumuntu. His name is Tim Blank, and I actually interviewed Tim a few weeks ago, and I pre-recorded it, so the video that you're about to see is going to be pre-recorded. But I will be in the chat to answer questions, so any questions you have, please feel free to jump into the chat, and I will answer them, and I hope you enjoy the interview. Thanks, guys! A common theme in African folklore is that animals are wise creatures who teach humans to do good and moral things. In Bumuntu, based on the Bakongo culture of Central Africa, you are a tribal leader seeking to befriend the animals. Trek through the jungle, follow the animals' guidance, and earn their favor. Successfully earn the most favor, and the animals will help bring your people to prosperity. Will you earn the animals' favor, or will you get lost in the jungle? And I have here with me Tim Blank, the designer of Bumuntu. Tim, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jessa. I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. So, Bumuntu is a beautiful game. It's, about African folklore, and it's got a very simple yet intricate design and mechanical design. So, tell me a little bit about what inspired, the design and the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, so I'm the type of person, whenever I design games, I always want them to have some kind of cultural component to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that games are a great way to teach people about everything. I myself am an educator in my full-time job. And so to be able to use a game in order to teach others about a culture or about something that they don't know, I think that's combining the best of both worlds for me. For Bumuntu, it really was about telling stories about a culture that you don't really see a lot in board games. African culture is not something that a lot of games have really dived into. And if they do, it's usually, kind of Egyptian, but they don't really get into the Central or Southern African cultures. And Southern and Central African cultures are kind of something that, for me, I've always had an interest in. And so it just kind of made sense for me that, if I'm going to be making a game about a culture, that would be one that I would, gravitate toward.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's definitely a theme that you don't see a lot. And so it's really cool that, we have Bumuntu and we have this game that's not only thematically about the culture, but actually, brings aspects of that culture into the gameplay. Which leads me to my next question. Kind of tell me about the process of designing the game. You and I both know this, the audience doesn't know this, but before I started working for WizKids, I actually got to playtest this game, before WizKids signed it, before I was working for WizKids. And so, I do I've seen a little bit of the inside of how you designed it because of that. But, tell the audience a little bit about it, because I think it's really fascinating. I think it's really cool. It wasn't too different when I played it to what the final design was, but talk about your process, please.
Yeah, I think when you played it, I was toward the end of the design process for it. But it took, I would say, just under 2 years for me to design, from when I first came up with the concept until when I decided, all right, this is done and it's ready. I am what I call a goal-based designer. So when I set out to design a game, I usually have a couple of goals in mind. So with Bumuntu, I wanted it to be educational. I wanted it to be about a culture. I wanted it to be beautiful. And I wanted it to have this really great table presence. And that's another reason why I thought the Central African culture was going to be really great for it, is because all of the different colors and just beauty that comes from, nature in Central Africa, that's something that, when you look at it on a table, people are going to gravitate towards, because it just looks interesting. So it went through a couple of theme changes. Eventually we ended up, or I ended up on the Bakongo tribes of Central Africa. And those are the descendants of the Kingdom of Congo. So, a very prominent culture in Central Africa. And I just kept those design goals in mind. The big one was, or my big design goal that I have for all of my games, aside from being cultural, is that I want them to be what I call elegant. So a game that, and it's something we all hear and everyone hates, that's easy to learn but goes deep. But that's something that I keep in mind. And, having played Bumuntu, I'm sure you can attest that it is something where, on your turn, you basically have one or two choices to make. So it is pretty easy. But I feel it goes deep because there are multiple strategies that you can take as you're making those choices. And one of the big moments in the design for me was at Gen Con. I had been designing the game for maybe about 6 months at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought it to Gen Con, and I went to a game night and put it in the center of the table with a bunch of other designers, and we were sitting down and we were playing it. And then people started gathering around the table.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, what is this game? This looks interesting. And, you know, if you remember, I said table presence was a big design goal of this game. I wanted it to look good when it was on the table. And then, you know, after maybe 15 minutes of playing, there was like a pretty decent sized crowd gathering around the table. And they were like, what is this game? Like, where can I get it? And I was like, oh, this is just a game that I designed. This is a prototype. You can't get it yet. And then the next night, we were in the playtesting hall at Gen Con, and the same thing happened again. And, you know, that was really when I was like, oh, I have something here. Like, people are walking by this game and stopping and taking a look at it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
And so that was, you know, a huge confidence boost for me. But that was like the moment that I knew I had something special. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
you know what, I need to keep going with this.
Yeah, that's great. So, you know, you talked about how you landed on the Bakongo tribes of Central Africa. Can you talk a little bit about your research process, learning about, you know, the tribes and, you know, deciding what animals and what pieces of the folklore you wanted to bring into the game and how you kind of, you know, integrated them and kind of used them to bring Bumuntu to life?
Yeah, it's not an easy process at all. So
I can imagine.
It's definitely something, especially, you know, clearly I am not Bakongo, so it's not part of my culture. And so it's something that you really need to be careful about. I'm a big believer in that you can help educate other people about a culture, even if it's not your own.
Right.
But you need to be very careful in how you do that.
Yes.
And so the Bakongo culture is, like I said, it's always kind of been a fascination of mine, Central and Southern African culture. And so it's a culture I've always kind of known about, but as I started, you know, seeing that this was a culture that was going to click with this game, I started diving a lot deeper into it. I actually had a friend from grad school who was from Central Africa. And so in running it by him, you know, he thought that it was awesome. And
That's
so
great.
I ran a couple of things by him. But then I also, I worked with a professor and a couple of other experts, just running stuff by them through my research. And honestly, the biggest piece of feedback that they all gave me was, I'm just really happy that someone is doing something with this culture. So,
that's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be, like, mechanically speaking, what would you say is the most significant difference between what you originally started with and what your final design was?
So originally the game was a race.
Okay.
So there was a mini in the middle. It was supposed to be the city of Bumuntu. Bumuntu means civilization in the Kikongo language, which is the language of the Bakongo people. And so it was a race to get to the lost city. And it worked, but I remember bringing it to Metatopia one year and sitting down with a fellow designer, and he basically spelled it out for me. He said, you've got a really great concept in your core mechanic, and you kind of have like this picture frame that you've put it in, and it's not a game. So originally the idea was you needed to collect all 8 animals and then make it to the city. And so he really got my gears turning on that. And how do I take this picture frame and actually turn it into a game that people want to sit down and play rather than just stand to the side and look at. And in doing that, you know, that's how we ended up with set collection. That's how we ended up with the competition with the set collection. That's also how we ended up with the track of the animals that change their point values, and it really just added a whole bunch more layers to the game. And the second I play tested a version of that, I was like, yes, this is exactly what this game needed. And then I brought it back the next year to Metatopia, and that's where it got signed. So I think we
Nice.
did something good in that process.
That's awesome. I've said that's awesome like 6 times.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that is my go-to expression.
I am happy for you to say that about my games. So keep doing that.
Well, I love this game. I honestly, when I realized that WizKids had signed it and that I was gonna get to market it, I was so excited because I was like, I can show this to all my friends. It's such a good game.
Yeah, and you can say like I played this before it was real too.
I'm the Bumuntu hipster.
Yeah,
I played it before it was cool.
But I mean, I have it right back here. Like, look at the art on the box too.
It's gorgeous.
Like, that's absolutely amazing. That's one thing that I'm really happy. When Zev from WizKids took a look at it and I pitched it to him originally, I had the prototype there. And the first thing that he said is, this is going to be a beautiful game. And just hearing him say that, I was like, yeah, this is the publisher I want to go with for this. So.
Awesome. So were there any aspects of the original design that you maybe mechanically wanted to keep, but they didn't fit into the final vision?
Yeah, the city in the middle. That I think was a really great part of the table presence of it. I actually, the component I was using for my prototype, I went to the pet store and I found it in the aisle where all the fish tank decorations are.
Oh, interesting.
So it had, it had kind of like this cool, like old ruins kind of aspect to it. I have since raided the fish aisles of many pet stores looking for components for prototypes of mine. Because
really smart.
It's a weird thing that you wouldn't think like, oh, that'd be a good place to get components, but you can get some really unique and original ones that, you know, you can make some really good games out of. I kind of wish that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the only thing I can think of that you get from the pet store fish aisle is those rocks that go in the bottom of the tank, because you can use those for tokens for things.
Yeah. Oh, no, I have plenty of those as well. I have 2 fish on my shelf over there that I'm looking at as I'm saying this, because I've got the rocks in the bottom. But yeah, so I wish that I was able to keep that in the final design, but it just didn't work. And the final design is much better than it was with the city in the middle. Who knows, you know, maybe I could have looked at, you know, having like a city in the middle and trying to do something with that. But again, I wanted to keep it elegant, keep it simple, and adding another element to it, I think would take it more into the more complex range of games. I think it's comfortably in the light to medium strategy level right now, and I think adding another component to it would put it above a family game, and I want to keep it a family game, especially being educational.
Yeah, I've actually, one of the ways I've personally described it to people, or, you know, one of the things we've described it as to people is it's almost chess-like. It has that same kind of straightforward elegance that chess has, because, you know, there's not a lot you can do on your turn, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's like one token chess. I sometimes I call it that. I don't try to market it as that though, because there's so many chess variants out there that you tell someone it's one token chess and they're like, oh great, another chess game. It does have that element, but it's not at all a chess game. It's a set collection game. Yeah,
absolutely.
At its heart. So
So what parts of the final game are you the most proud of?
I like that I've met the design goals that I had for it. Specifically the table presence one. When you look at it laid out on the table, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I like that it's educational and it's about a culture that not very many people know about. I like that I've kept it elegant. That was actually one word in playtesting that a lot of people used without me defining it for them or telling them that was a design goal. They would just say like, this is a really elegant game. So I knew that I hit that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm there's a lot more about it. I really like the game. So,
That's awesome.
people ask me all the time, what's your favorite game? And I'm like, it's actually Bumuntu. And they're like, you can't choose your own game. And I'm like, no, I know. But like, if I can spend 2 years designing it and then another like 2 years, it's been a year now since it's been published, or a year and a half about another year and a half, of it being published and trying to push it. And I'm still wanting to play this game every time that I can, then like that means it's a good game that I like to play. I think I also have a different experience with it whenever I play it too, because I'm usually teaching it to people, and so it's not just let's play a game, it's like let's play a game that I made. So you do have that experience. But
And how did working on Bumuntu differ from any previous games you worked on or designed?
It was a lot more thematic. So my other games that I tend to design, I usually start with a mechanic. And with Bumuntu, I really took a lot of cues from the theme of it. Like I said, the theme changed a couple of times. It always stayed in Africa. But I really, I took a lot of cues from it, and a lot of people don't realize this, but even the movement of the animals in the game are thematic. So you've got the rhinoceros that charges all the way to the end of the board. You've got the flamingo that flies around and can land anywhere on the board. And so I tried to keep it as thematic as possible. With that. And in my past games, I was always kind of like, theme is just something that you can just paste on later. Oddly enough, Bumuntu is probably the most abstract style game that I've ever created. So it's a weird path to say that I kept theme, in the forefront and ended up with this really great abstract game. But yeah.
So what is, you mentioned the animals. Which animal is your favorite and why?
I would say, so I really like the rhinoceros, because if you can do it, like line the rhinoceros up correctly, you can do a lot of damage on the board to your opponents. And I'm a super competitive gamer when I play, so if I can throw people up, you can bring other people across the board with you with the rhinoceros. And so so I really like that. But I also have a special affinity for the zebra, because for some reason in early play tests, the zebra always ended up toward the bottom. And there were always players that like took a love to it and would stay zebra strong, and try to bring that zebra up and make it worth more. So I've always kind of have like this, no, I'm going to help you along, little zebra kind of mentality with that. And it's only something that I would know, being the one who leads all these play tests. But
Well, I was Team Flamingo. Maybe now I have to be Team Zebra because I have to support the underdog.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So obviously you're the expert in this game. You designed it. What are some tips that you could give to a new player of the game who, they're just picking up the game and they're like, I want to win, I want to do really well? What would you tell them?
I would say don't ignore the Inkizi and the Yawa in the game. That's something that I think new players tend to ignore. I would say the Yawa especially, because if you don't collect any of those, your opponents can get a lot of points off of them. Because that's one that just, you get more points the more of those that you collect. So yeah, don't ignore those, because they, you can very easily look at them as just like extra points I get in the game. But if someone really focuses on them, they can win the game with them.
Makes a lot of sense. So other than Bumuntu, what is your favorite WizKids game or WizKids product?
So I love the primed miniatures that WizKids has. I'm a big D&D person, and so I love just like, I've always been an artsy type person, and I do like a lot of painting, and so when I got into D&D, I wanted to paint more miniatures, and so they're not that expensive. They're usually like, for the regular medium-sized player ones, $5 for two. And so I have like a whole set of goblins, that there's 12 different goblins, and I painted all their clothes different colors. So you can say, I want to attack the blue one, or I want to attack the red one. And so it's like really helpful for me as a DM. It's actually, so a funny story about the miniatures. The first check I got, royalty check I got from WizKids, I went to the bank and I cashed it. And the first thing I bought with that was WizKids miniatures. Because the bank was kind of near my game store. And I was like, oh, I need to go in and I need to buy some more miniatures because I was DMing that weekend. And so I was like, well, I just cashed the check from them and I'm giving them more money. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, we're not complaining.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not.
Is there anything else you want to mention about Bumuntu, about your experience working on it, anything like that?
Just play it. If you're watching this, play it, give it a shot. Like I said, it's a really easy game to learn. And it's one that I think a lot of people have a lot of fun with. Like I said, it's my favorite game for a reason. So if you're curious about it, there are a lot of reviews online. So check them out. And then let me know how you feel about it, even if you hate it. Some people, I've looked at the reviews on BGG, and there's like 1 or 2 4-star reviews, and but there's a lot more 10-star reviews, so I'm good with that.
It's great, and I mean, it is a great game. It does deserve all the love, all the attention. It's a fantastic game, and we're so happy to be able to publish it, and we're happy we were able to work with you on it, and we were happy to have you here now. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah, no problem, Jessa. It's fun. I'm glad to do it.
We were so glad to have you today. If you would like to pick up your copy of Bumuntu, contact your friendly local game store. If for whatever reason you can't get it at your friendly local game store, you're not able to, you can't get to your friendly local game store, you can pick it up online in the WizKids store, shop.wizkids.com. And we are now shipping to 4 international countries, including the UK, Germany, France, and Canada. So check that out. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Have a great day.